Bro, when I was in the bubble, we had a meeting, with players only meeting, to ask whether we wanted to continue playing or not. This is after the Bucks just decided not to show up and not play that one game, and everybody kind of was like, wait, what's going on? We had a players only meeting, and pretty much everyone was like giving their opinions, but nobody was listening. We're all just waiting to see if LeBron was going to play or not. And if he wasn't, then people were just going to move on and not want to play. Udonis Haslam literally grabbed the mic and gets up and goes, "Hey, yo, big bro, what we doing? Because if you ain't playing," he goes, "if you ain't playing, the Heat are out." And he drops the mic.
Drops the mic. That's great.
Pat Beverly spoke up for the Clippers and started talking, and no one was listening. It was catastrophic. The meeting was ridiculous. But the point being is LeBron is so important that if he's not playing, nobody really cares. And the fact is he's a huge part of the game. He's embraced the game and embodied the game and took the game from new heights. And I think people just don't want him to go. Especially the guy just scored 40. He's still playing elite basketball.
You're somebody who's like us, right? You're in your hotel room. You're reading all this stuff. You're probably on Twitter. You're reading the different articles. As you're reading this stuff get covered, the boycott the day after, everybody in the ballroom, the voting potentially, the Clippers potentially not want to play, maybe the Lakers not wanting to play, all this stuff. How aware are you of all the coverage? How aware is the team? And how do you drown that stuff out when you're trying to both accomplish all the social justice stuff you care about, but also you have this title that you still have to worry about?
I mean, it was difficult because listen, every player's on their phone 24/7. I don't care what anyone tells you. We read everything. AD Braun knows if you say something so crazy because maybe their friend tells them, Skip Bayless, Stephen A, all these everybody, Shannon Sharp, Shannon Sharp. We read everything. And some people use it as motivation, but the social injustice one of what's going on, man, in Milwaukee not playing, and we're going through that process like, man, what just really happened? And people being fired up, but we still have a championship we want to win. People back home in your communities, hey, this is bigger than basketball, but yet the NBA players in the past sacrificed so much for us to make so much money. Are we going to throw it down the drain for the future NBA players in our communities that we could get back to? And I just think that once we took a day, I think it was even 2 days of sleeping on it, going through the pros and cons, and I think Obama's phone call to Chris Paul, Iguodala, and LeBron to seal the deal of how he would handle it, getting a leadership group together, how we're going to attack the owners. And then once we put that to bed, it was time. Once we, after talking to Braun, after he talked to Obama, I was like, all right. I was like, listen, if Obama said it, what other better advice can we get than that leader of the president of highly respected? I said, there's nothing else to talk about. We playing. There's nothing else. I said, we nothing else to talk about. And once we went in that room and we all decided to play, man, we flipped the switch so fast to be like, hey, listen, this is our title to win, and let's go get it.
How close was it? Because I think on the outside, and as you just said, you're in it and you're like, man, are we really not going to play? Because if the counter is always bigger than basketball, which it is, it's hard to argue against that. But I'm sure in that moment you're going, we have a really good chance at winning. Was there a moment? Was there an hour? Was there a night you went to bed being like, hey, we're probably not playing?
After the first night, I thought it was 70-30 of us not playing.
I did too. And I wasn't even there. Yeah.
Not playing. It was just it was so much tension. It was bigger than basketball at that time. Clippers, ourselves, of certain people being conflicted. And let's just be honest, like Braun, Kawhi, Giannis, they have a different role than just, their voice is different than our voices, and we know that. And so if their mind's not into it, if their heart, and that's why you need a day or two. And then the next day, 60-40. Then after that, it flipped. The third day of how it is, just, talking to your parents. You know how it is when you have a tough day at work, you talk to your wife. That's how we do the same thing. We talk to our wife. We're going to talk to people we respect, your agents. Everyone has an opinion. Obama came into it, and then eventually was like, all right, listen, man, this is bigger than just us. And this is something that we have to do. And we can help change in this one and still take care of our communities. Owners can get involved. And I think that the bubble was perfect for it. But let's never do it again, please.
So with our executive committee that we had at the union, it's different guys who can do their part. But with this certain thing, I was so invested in that bubble and putting all the different details in it that when the situation happened with Jacob Blake, it's so much that went down the night before, and me and Andre Iguodala meeting with two teams who was talking about not playing, to when it happened, everybody else looking like, who gonna do something, right? Just like with your family, right? If you at your house with your family and somebody break in, right?
Daddy.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And so I was on the bus, headed to our game against the Rockets, and Shea, Gildas Alexander, who like my brother, I talk to him about it every day. Shea turned around on the bus and he said, you see what the Bucks did? And I was like, no, what happened? He was like, they not playing. So I immediately look at my phone and then boom, my phone started ringing. It's Damian Lillard calling. Then it's LeBron calling. Then Adam Silver called me, right? Like back to back to back. Because everybody, somebody got to do something. You can't just answer and be like, oh, nothing. You know what I'm saying? I had to call this lady, last name Flateau, who had set up the whole bubble, and I asked her to put a whole bunch of chairs in a conference room, right? Because now COVID's still going on and they don't want to let us get together. And I said, to hell with that, we need to get together and talk. There was a conversation with Adam to let him know that we weren't gonna play the games that night. And so now we got a chance to get everybody in a conference room, right? And have some real conversations, and who else was gonna do it, right? And I was actually a little bit nervous, just a little bit, right, going into this, because I went in the middle of the room in front of all these players, many of who don't like me, right? Right? Well, I don't give a damn. You know what I mean? Because at the same time, it's a position of service. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we got a nice CBA deal. We got all this different type stuff going on, and I could care less what they talking about, right? A job's got to be done. And so I got calls from the coaches. The coaches said they want to come into the meeting. So now I got to what? What I got to decide?
Whether or not the coach could come.
Exactly. Thought about it. I talked to Doc, and I talked to, can't think of the other coach I talked to, and I was like, yeah. They was like, we're part of y'all family too. We want to be in there. Coaches come in. I get a call. Guess who else said they wanted to come in? The referees, right? And I get it. Like, everybody wants to be a part of it, but everybody gonna be like, oh, he ain't want to rep. Well, I said no to that because I wanted players to be able to talk freely, right? And so we get into that meeting. We start the meeting. Guys start talking. Tell you the truth, a couple coaches said some real stuff, man. John Lucas, he was passionate, man. He talked. Y'all know Luke?
Yep.
Luke, man, is a real OG. He talked in there and was passionate about it. He seen the league from years ago to what it is now. He said some real stuff. So did Armand Hill, Money. He said some real stuff. Doc said some real stuff. Then you got some players in the back right after that that said, man, get the coaches out of here.
Yeah.
Right? They said, get the coaches out of here. Even though the coaches had told us some real stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was a lot going on in there, man. But then we talked as players and all this stuff. And it was a lot for guys to handle, deal with. We broke after that day, came back the next day, and we made a decision. But it goes back to, who gonna do it? Who gonna do it? Somebody gotta do it, and everybody ain't gonna like it, but it is what it is.